Hey Faith, Grant Putnam here. This is the third video I'm going to send you. It's just going to kind of explain the quote and some of the thought process behind it, okay? So, this is your house. That's the satellite image looking down at your house. We talked about different areas. So we talked about the little planting bed in here, the little planting bed in here, and we talked about making the bed less deep off the house, so making the beds a little bit smaller on either side. I think all the plants in there we could transplant elsewhere in the property and make use out of them because they don't really make sense where they're currently located. Okay. And then the other area was this area along the back. There's a fence there currently, and in the videos you'll notice I point that out. It's about 100 linear feet, and because of the large evergreen trees, you can't extend the lawn all the way back to the fence or close to the fence because there's literally no sunlight underneath there. So you're going to notice that within my quote I had two different layers of plants. I had layers along the foundation, along the fence line, so those would be the taller plants to try to soften the fence, and I also have shorter plants in front of those taller plants. So the bed ends up being roughly about 14 feet wide. So it would be a mix of perennials and short shrubs closer to the grass side, and then taller plants closer to the fence line. Okay, and a mixed variety of plants for different colors, different blooming periods, and whatnot, more interest. Okay. Over here is where you have the exposed ledge. So the idea would be to power wash that ledge, and then put the patio on this side, so on the fence side of the ledge. We could either cut that into a rectangular patio, or we could cut that more into a free-form patio. But my concept was to leave either a 5 to 6 inch grass joint in between the stones for the patio, or using a thyme ground cover, which is a pretty ground cover in between the joints of the patio. I'm going to send you pictures on this email that will represent kind of the aesthetic that I was going for. And I think it really makes sense, especially it'll make it feel like the lawn almost bleeds, it continues right through the patio, which would be a really nice look we've done in a lot of people's houses. All right. Then it's the screening from the new corner of the new fence to the back corner, which is about another 100 feet. And I suggested using green giant arborvitae because they grow more like a cylinder. They're easy to prune, they grow fast, they're deer resistant, and they won't take up too much lawn space over time because they have a narrower growth habit. Okay, so it's a good distance. So I gave you a value size around 5 to 6 feet tall. Okay. And the other planting area was around the new chain link fence that's going to go around the propane tanks. So I had privet in there. Privet is what you see all over the Hamptons and Nantucket. It's what's planted in between properties and makes a nice dense hedge. It drops its leaves during the winter, but you're not going to really be standing over here on this side of the house, probably looking this way much during the winter. So for the growing season, it makes a lot of sense, and it's a pretty cost-effective hedge. So as far as the proposal goes, let's pull this over here. Okay. Number one, if the purpose of this proposal is not to give you an exact estimate, but it's to get you about, call it 90% there, where it gives you itemized costs for everything involved. You're going to notice it's very detailed and explains a lot of what needs to happen for each area. And then if you say, okay, Grant, we want to go ahead and move forward with you, then what we would do is then we would draft a CAD landscape design. Let me show you what that looks like. Let me just pull up my website. One sec. Give me 1 sec. I'm just going to pull up my website here on the other screen. Okay. So, So that's like a CAD drawing. Okay, so it's like as if you're looking down in a survey. So this is the house, here's the pool, the patio, and everything's color coded, so you can see where all the plants are located. For a property like yours, it's about typically around $1,100 to do that work. So I'm offering that for free as long as you agree to do the bulk of the work in this estimate. All right. So I'd rather be upfront with you with the cost rather than you being surprised after we create a CAD drawing. So that's the idea there. Let's see here. Any kind of fence removal work, that's going to be done by the fence company, which we already talked about. Then I broke each section down by category. So you're going to notice there's a planting bed along the rear fence. It gives the dimensions, the plant suggested, and it's also going to give you a subtotal for each category. So that was around $7,800 for that area of plants, and everything's listed with sizes, quantities, and varieties. Okay. Now, of course, like I said, that could possibly change once we do a CAD drawing, but again, it's going to get you about 90% there, so it gives you a sense of overall value. And I also am quick to point out what plants typically cost, because like I said, I do have an advantage, and especially some of the larger plants, based on how we purchase the plant material, and by the bulk of the plants that we buy. So we're typically going to be better priced on a lot of the plant material. So then again, same thing, it talks about privacy trees along the rear deer fence, which is on the right side of your property. And again, it's subtotaled out for each category. It has the patio involved. I gave you 2 different options for materials for the patio. Plantings around the ledge and the new patio, so that's another section. Plantings around the generator fence, front of the house landscaping. It has all the different plants that we have to transplant also included. Let's see here, the lawn installation. Now, one thing I want to point out, the lawn installation, most companies will put the topsoil in, overseed it, which means basically they put seed on top of the soil and then throw down hay. The problem with that is the hay will clump up and you'll get all these little spots where the grass seed doesn't grow. And also, it's a much inferior way compared to top dressing it with leaf compost. If you do any research about seed will do much better with better seed to soil contact when it's dropped just below the surface. So what we're doing is we're putting the seed on top of the topsoil. Now we're using a special top dresser machine to spit compost on top of the seed and the topsoil, and we found to have way better results. Most of my friends who are in the lawn fertilizing business also do that as a special service. It's a little bit more expensive, you're going to notice, but you'll get a lot better results with the lawn seed germination. Okay. Also, for incentives, I pointed out a few incentives in here, so you want to read through that. We do outdoor lighting in-house, so that's an option if you decide to do that. And then I wrote all the items that still need to be determined, which are on this quote as well. So I'll shoot this over to you, and we'll take it from there. Thanks.